This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's sponsored by Independent Bank, and we spend a half hour talking about things that are happening in the community on Saturday mornings, and Katy Huckle is my co-host. And Katy, this week we have Cadillac's most wanted man of the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Listen, he is the man of the hour. You know that song for He's the Jolly Good Fellow? This is the guy, Rich. This is the guy.
We've got Coach Cody Mallory with us, and we thought we'd kind of, let things settle in a little bit for you. So it's been a week or so since the big game that was such a great fight against a tough team.
Sure was. As
you have had, Coach Mallory, the last 6-7 days to let things sink in, how do you assess your season, and tell us about your emotions and where it sits now that you've had a few days football free?
Yeah, it's quite a transition. You go from going 100 miles an hour to just kind of re-entry into family life and having more time on your hands. And so the first couple of days is just kind of trying to catch back up on sleep and everything. But as we progressed throughout the week, it just had a chance to take a look at the film. And with the season being as weird as it was, we had done a lot of the season evaluation stuff over that break between the district final game and the regional final game, and have done a lot of our postseason, I call it like our autopsy work, just looking at what went well, what didn't. And so, and that was actually, I think, beneficial to us in the run that we had is we had put in a lot of work, just, looking at some of the issues we had during the season, and we were able to already start talking through, fixing them, because at that point we thought we were going to be playing in the spring. And so we had started to really dive deep on some of the fixes rather than just taking a look at what went wrong and what we did well and all that. And I think that really helped out. And I don't know, man, it's been this week has flown by. And I think I'm finally getting back to normal. So it's been a wild transition.
Oh my goodness. So question, when you did your post-op, is that something where the coaches and the players watch the tape all together, and then or do the coaches watch it and then bring the players in and talk? How does that work, Coach Mallory?
So we don't really go over it too much with the players. For us, like defensively, we're just taking a look at some of the schemes that we might want to investigate this offseason thing, just addressing personnel that we're going to have coming back and all of that. Offensively, we do some analytics with it, just checking efficiency ratings. We've got some formulas that we plug in for seeing how efficient we were on different concepts. And so then it goes into, addressing those issues, and also taking a look at what other teams that are running our offense do and seeing if there's anything there that we want to incorporate. But we really don't get the kids involved just because it's pretty data heavy work, and I think they'd start glassing over. Their eyes would start glassing over about 5 minutes in.
Can you describe your emotions and what was running through your mind when you found out that you were making history and that you were headed to Ford Field?
It was pretty wild. It was a pretty broad range. We went down to Edwardsburg, and nobody really gave us a shot there. We knew that we'd have to play a really good game to beat them, because they're a very, very good team. And as we recovered the onside kick right at the end, and it was time to knee it out, the first thing you got to do is just make sure that we stay calm. Because we still had to snap the ball 3 times or so and knee it out, and we didn't really want to fumble that snap. And so you have that part. And then, I remember, like, the first thing I remember is turning around and seeing my family walking out on the field and just thinking about, just how cool it was to have them there and watching our guys go crazy. Just kind of, it doesn't really sink in. It still didn't sink in when we're walking out on the field at Ford Field. When we're in practice and everything, and in preparation for the game, is a lot like just prepping for any other game. But the times when it really stood out and really got intense were really the times when, like when we were leaving town or coming back in, and just, that night that we came back in from Edwardsburg, just seeing the amount of people on Mitchell Street, just, honking their horns and everything. Like, that's an indescribable emotion. I really, can't really put words to it. It's just, very, very intense. And, so it was a potpourri of emotion. I mean, there was a lot of different stuff going on, and, still really hasn't set in yet. It's just, there's a lot of layers to it.
You mentioned that, as you were finishing up that unexpected and surprising victory against Edwardsburg, you saw your family. Or was that at Ford Field? Was that at Ford Field?
That was at Edwardsburg.
So, and you look at them, and there's got to be emotions there, because as a football coach, you give up tons of time, and your family has to share you with so many people.
Right.
That's got to be really emotional.
It was. I mean, especially with the way the season went, with how long it was.
Starts and stops.
Yeah. And so, like, it was, we started going with the kids in person back in June, and we really hadn't laid off until, midway through January. And so it was a really, really long time. I called my wife, this week when because now I'm picking up the kids after school, and I was like, I really
back to dad life.
I really respect you for having to do that every single day. Because she's working from home and we live up in Manson, and so every day she's having to drive down and pick them up. And I'm like, man, I'm already in town, and like the amount of sacrifice that's on their end is really, really immense. And we can't do it without support from there. I mean, my wife's been great about it. I drug her all the way out to Utah to do this, and then here, and she hasn't batted an eye. So it means a lot. And so, at the end of that game, watching them walk out, just kind of, I don't know, man, it felt pretty wild to be able to share that with them.
Right. And they were part of the success too. You maybe don't realize that Cadillac football, the coaches, the staff and the players gave Cadillac something to believe in during a really hard time. Restaurants are shut down. The state's shut down. People are depressed. They're down. They have cabin fever. And all of a sudden, we all got an adrenaline rush because the boys were going to go for it. And, you would talk to people in the grocery store with your mask on, and the discussion was, where will you be on Friday night when our boys are at Ford Field? And it's giving me the chills even as we talk about it, because we all needed something to get excited about, something to be proud of, and that was you and your team.
If ever there was a year to make a run like this, in a year where people were just, everyone's done with this, we want to get back to
right.
seeing faces and seeing smiles again, and this it gave the whole Cadillac community a reason to smile, and that had to make you, outside coach of leading the team, just from an emotional standpoint, feel good.
Yeah, it was, with the way that the fans were restricted at games and everything. You're really insulated from it, and I think that's why those moments when we were coming into town or leaving town were so impactful, because when you're sitting there and we've only got 125 fans in the stadium, you're really protected from all of that and sheltered from all of that. That the emotion, that support, and everything. And so it was pretty overwhelming seeing that. I'm just, it's too bad you couldn't see and hear how our guys were reacting on the bus in and out of town. I mean, it meant a lot to them.
Awesome.
And it has been a rough year for everybody. And, this experience, I think, was great. It's great. I think it speaks to how powerful just athletics and extracurriculars can be as a unifying force. So we're very, very happy to have the opportunity to represent the town and go out there and play with Cadillac on the chest.
Can you describe for me, Coach, the boys' reaction to that video montage? Our class at the CTC, one of our students put that together, and where we collected videos from Vikings past and community leaders and NFL players even. Can you talk about the reaction those kids had when they saw that video for the first time?
Yeah, it was a broad range. You had kids that were tearing up a little bit. You had guys that were cheering when they saw different faces on there. I was really, really worried about showing that to them because the thought was we were going to show it to them, day of the game, and I thought it was going to be too emotionally charged. So, and
that is where the coach it becomes a psychologist, right?
Bet.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I was just like, with the way our guys have been all year, we have a tendency to run a little hot, and so we have to do whatever we can to calm them down. Like we have to do breathing exercises before kickoff just to make sure everybody's chilled. Otherwise, we're going to run around out there like wild men. And, so I definitely didn't want to show them that prior to the game. I wanted to let them cool off after they saw it because I knew it was going to be a pretty heavy video, and it was. It was like I said, you had guys tearing up, you had guys hooting and hollering. I mean, it was a pretty impactful video for them, and I think it really brought it home for that it's not just us in that room at that time. We're playing for a lot of other people, and
right,
and it means a lot to those people.
I will tell you, I know you saw that video on a Thursday. It was sent to you last Thursday. I had that video finished, and then Fred Bryant sent me an email, and he said, "We got one from Marshawn Lynch. Can you add it?" And I said, "Well,
no.
How could I not?" So what you guys ended up seeing was the second draft.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, it was a great job. You guys did great work on it. I mean, it was really great to see.
We were happy to do it.
He was like a kid in a candy store, Coach. I came into the studio to do some work with Rich that day, and he goes, "You're never going to believe what I've been working on all afternoon." He was so fired up. But we're going to go to break in a minute. But before we do, what is it about football? Your athletes over the years, you might have a star baseball player that was a decent football player, a star lacrosse player, he was an okay football. If you ask these boys, where did team kick in, and where did they all say football. They do. What is it about the sport that helps them make friends and helps them trust each other? And I mean, I've never played football, but I have consistently heard that from people looking back at their high school career, that their favorite sport was football. And I'll say, I don't mean to be unkind, but that wasn't your best sport.
Right. Yeah. It's because it's hard. And that's not, I don't say that to take anything away from any other sport. And I don't mean hard in terms of skill. I just, like, when you have the combination of the physicality of it, the mental part of doing your job and making sure that you're disciplined enough to stay on your key or perform a function while somebody's trying to take your head off. It's hard, and you cannot make it through it without trusting the guys next to you. You can't make it through it without pushing each other to practice and holding each other accountable in practice. And so it's got a unique, I played multiple sports in high school, and I enjoyed all of them, but there's something about the combination of the physical element and the inability to get it. Like, you can't take over a game all by yourself in football. You can in basketball, you've got a guy that can get hot and take over. Mm-hmm. You got the same thing in other sports, and really,
hockey,
like, it's crazy. And I think it's the combination of all that stuff that really forges it. I think the other part of it is that, we spent so much time in practice and so much time around each other that you have to become tight. There's not an option, because, you're going to spend that extended amount of time together in between games. And, there's so much preparation that goes into it prior to actually playing. It's just very, very unique. And I that's why I love coaching it. I think it really brings guys together from that would not normally be with each other, and they have to rely on each other to be successful.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Mallory, we're going to take a break here, hear a word from our sponsor, catch the weekend weather forecast, and we will be right back with a little more chat with our high school Coach of the Year, Cody Mallory from the Cadillac Vikings on 107.9 CDY. This is Cadillac Unscripted. It is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY, and our special guest is Cadillac Vikings head coach Cody Mallory. And Cody, now that, again, that we've had several days to let this all sink in, this is a really interesting question because this was a football season unlike any other. There were so many starts, so many stops, so many periods of time when you weren't even allowed to practice with the team. How do you keep them motivated when there are so many starts and stops? Isn't that an emotional roller coaster?
It was, and I think it's twofold. I mean, our guys they are very, very resilient. I don't know how they get that way, but we're just fortunate enough to have a group of guys that are very resilient. But I think the other part of it is that we were able to make it so that, I was thinking about it the last couple of weeks of the season. It's like, this is like our COVID support group, we get together, and when we're practicing, there's some normalcy about it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that the kids really look forward to, mm-hmm. Where they could be normal and have an opportunity to run around and do things that they've always done and kind of step outside of the shadow of COVID as much as they could. And I think that was a big part of it. I think the other big part is, like, we really try hard. This has been a change that we've had in our program the past couple of years, where we've taken a different approach to the physicality part of it, where we want to make sure our guys are fresh on Fridays. And so we don't hammer them like you would traditionally think a football practice would be. And that's been a change over the past two years. We got it from a track coach in Illinois, Feed the Cats. And so I feel like, the fact that, number one, we have resilient kids to begin with, it was a place where they could be normal, and the fact that we weren't trying to grind them out, and we understood that, like, we play to win the game on Friday, not to be really, really crisp in practice on a Tuesday, and grind them out there. I think all those things combined made it so that it was easy for the kids to come back, because we made it an environment that they wanted to be a part of.
There may have been an extra sense of excitement too, because was there a thought in your mind that maybe you wouldn't be able to finish the season, or did you stay optimistic the whole way? I thought for sure when they shut it down after the district game that we weren't going to be playing again till spring. And then even then, you just don't know how it's going to go from there. And so, it was, I don't know, there definitely an emotional roller coaster. There were times when I was doubtful. But, at the end of the day, we were able to do it. And, I think, again, it's just a tip of the hat to the kids for how resilient they were and how excited they were to return. We had heard about other programs in the area that didn't have all their kids come back out. We had everybody back out, and that said a lot. That we even had the kids back out that, we brought up some sophomores just for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And, they know coming in that they're probably not going to get in the game. If they do, it's not going to be much. And those kids came back out too. And so again, that all goes just to how resilient our kids are, how much they care about each other. And, it's just a really, really fun group to coach.
But Coach, it starts at the top. They wanted to be part of something that you created, that's part of it too, is leadership. It is. Let's talk about how many players, because now we're all so excited about this. I mean, the whole town is just on fire. So we're all still talking about it. At halftime during the game, I had a friend say he was leaving. I said, why? He goes, because everyone's hollering at the TV and I can't hear the game. So I've got to go listen to it by myself. So how many of your players are coming back? What percentage?
So quite a few. We're only graduating 8 seniors.
Okay.
8 or 9 seniors.
Wow.
And so, like, offensively, we're going to have 4 of our 5 linemen coming back. We're going to have 2 of our 3 running backs coming back, quarterbacks back. We're going to lose receivers. And it's going to be very similar on the defensive side. We're going to lose a pretty big, a couple of pretty big pieces on the defensive side that we're going to need to replace. But we have a lot of those guys coming back. And so the challenge is, like, even, you could say you've got all these guys coming back, like, it's going to be good to go, all that. But even just removing a few guys really changes the chemistry of the team. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like our seniors were a really big calming force on our team. And so we're going to, it's going to definitely change the chemistry. And so we're going to have to figure that out. Some leaders are going to have to emerge, and I'm confident that we'll do what we need to do to develop that. But it's going to be every year when it changes over, it changes the chemistry. And I think the prior year we lost some very strong leading personalities, and so the concern was leadership coming into this year, because we didn't really have those strong personalities coming back, and it turned out that we didn't need them, because our guys took more of a collective approach to the leadership of the team, and that worked out well. And so it's always interesting. It's going to be interesting this coming year to see, who steps up, how they decide they want to get it done, because we're not going to be successful if they don't take ownership. And let's just see how they want to approach that.
Okay, your 8 seniors. I mean, they went out big time their senior year. Can you give us what did they share with you, that group of men, the seniors, before and after the game?
Just a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of hugs going out. And the thing that I'm really left with those guys is they were with us when a lot of those guys, we moved up as sophomores and we went 8-1 and really got our teeth kicked in, and they were on the front lines getting their teeth kicked in. And they stuck to it. They really believed in what we were doing, and then we had the results we had last year, and then building it into this year. I can't say enough about where those guys have come, because it is a small group, and I couldn't be prouder of how they handled themselves and how they stuck with the program, and put it in a just added their brick to the legacy there.
Yeah, they paved the way, those boys. I'm getting all teared up just thinking about it. Coach, in 30 years, those guys are all going to be still calling each other, and they're all still going to be friends. They are, because they were part of something way bigger than themselves, and they helped build it with you.
Well, and it's true. Just think about all those guys from those late 70s and early 80s teams that sent in videos of good luck.
That's right.
It's a brotherhood that will last forever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we need to talk about you being the man of the hour, and what was announced this morning from your peers. Very high praise. Coach of the year. Coach of the year.
So, I struggle with stuff like this because I like coaching, but all the external stuff, like it kind of like I have a hard time with it.
You don't do it. You clearly, Cody, don't do it for the awards.
Coach of the year for our division by our coaches association, which is voted on by the coaches, and so it means a lot to me personally to receive that. But I mean, I think the big part of it is that it says more about our program as a whole. We've got we dressed 39 guys on Friday, and we had a bunch of coaches there, and so that really is more of a reflection of what those guys did. We've got a really tremendous coaching staff that we've been working together for a while now, and it's to the point where like I won't let myself not create a practice plan, but I feel like if we rolled out there without a practice plan, everybody knows what everybody's job is, and we know what we need to do, and I feel like we're really starting to gel as a coaching staff, and I couldn't be prouder of those guys. They take a tremendous load off my plate, and they make coaching fun and a lot easier than it could be. And so, it says a lot about those guys too. Like I view it as a program award for sure.
Right. So for our listeners out there, it was announced today that Coach Cody Mallory is the Division IV Coach of the Year, voted on by the other coaches. So really the ultimate praise when your peers say you're the best of the best in what you all do. So congratulations.
I did notice also that 6 out of the 8 divisions were the champion coaches, but 2 of them were the runner-ups, and you were. How do you attribute that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Is it the surprise of Cadillac rising all the way to the title game, or how do you think that the coaches ended up at Cody Mallory's name for the Coach of the Year in Division 8?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there voting with them, but like I know that nobody had expected us to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We played. We weren't even picked to win the regions. And we had been down at halftime in every single playoff game this year, and found a way to come back and win it. I think a lot of people felt that the Edwardsburg Grand Rapids South Christian game was the state championship game, which was played for the regional title. And so when we went down there and won that, I think that really opened some eyes. I think that was a big deal there, a big part of it. I think also I was not able to go back and watch the TV coverage of it. It's too, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's too emotionally charged. It's more sterile to watch our game film. But like when I'm watching our game film of that finals game, and I couldn't be prouder how our guys were flying around on defense, and just the size differential and how they didn't blink an eye at it. We certainly we didn't get it done on offense, but those guys on defense really, I think they really represented the town well. They represented the program well, and
your team gave up.
That really stood out.
Your team gave up 1 touchdown, just one, two field goals and a touchdown to a team that was larger than you. That speaks volumes about the team.
And Coach, watching you and your coaching staff and the team walk out, how did you keep it classy and humble? I mean, here we're an underdog. We end up at Ford Field. The whole town has gone absolutely wild, but yet you had such poise, and so did the team when you walked out there. How did you get that done?
I don't know. We just kept preaching, and I think it was clear. Like, we didn't change anything in our prep for it. Our practice plan was the same as it was the week before. Our coaches meeting was the same as it was the week before.
Okay.
Our outside of warming up at Ford Field, everything was the same. And so we just kind of kept stressing that, we already have very high expectations, and we can't, like, you don't just turn it on for this game. Like, we've been busting our butt year round. And so, this is just another step in that process. And we also, I had them, we talked about everything that we've done prior to it, from, back in March when we were in lockdown mode. I was leading team workouts through Zoom in my driveway, and the kids were doing that. And, I just kind of took them through all of the stuff that we had done prior and everything we've done in preparation, and just urged them to take comfort in that, and that they are prepared. They've earned the right to be here, and they belong in this game. And so, I firmly believe that, like, they just, we had some big eyes when we first walked out, but they settled in and they started to play their game. And I think it's just trying not to make it more than what it is. Like, once it kicks off, it's just football, and you're going to fall into the routine. And again, with our guys this year, it's been about keeping them cool and keeping them level headed and kind of finding. I call it. I started calling it in the playoffs after we make a big play. Just hey, get that flat line, get back to normal, and let's take care of business.
Well, you sure did take care of business, didn't he, Rich? Coach, thank you for filling our hearts with pride. Thank you and the team for giving us something to cheer for giving us something to believe in. We were just on the edges of our seats cheering our hearts, and weren't we, Rich? We were so excited.
Well, and you think about it, so many thank yous, your assistant coaching staff and every one of the sets of parents of your boys.
Oh, yeah.
It is a huge sacrifice as a parent to have an athlete. Mm-hmm. Getting them to the practices and making sure that they're where they need to be, and that that's hats off to the parents too, don't you think, Coach?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially with when we found out the Friday before Christmas break that, oh, hey, you have practice on Monday. We had people having to change Christmas plans, and I didn't get a single complaint from any parents about having to do that. And then having it get shut down for a portion of that week too, after everybody had changed their plans. Before we got restarted again, our parents really weathered the storm. It's been a really long season, and the fact that they trusted us with their kids, I think, that means a lot too, because, when they set them off with us, they got to trust that we're going to have their best interests in mind. And, it's just, I couldn't be happier, more thankful for the kids we have, the parents we have, the players. I mean, administrative support, it's all been just the community support. It's been just overwhelming and great.
Well, thank you for letting the community be a part of it. I reached out to one of the dads who's born and raised Detroit, this guy. You probably know who I'm talking about. And I said, how are you doing, Dad? And he said, I cannot believe that my kid is playing at Ford Field today. He says, this is absolutely surreal. And that's when I go back to, it was Disney World for all of us. We all felt like we were in high school again and wanted to get out our pom-poms, and we all wanted to be in the stadium with you guys. So thank you for giving us a thrill. Thank you for your hard work and your tenacity and your dedication, and to your family, and to the families of your assistant coaches and your staff. You made Cadillac so proud, Coach Mallory. So thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure you will appreciate the next few months of relative normalcy.
He's still a celebrity in this town.
I told our coaches on the way home, like, hey, guys, you realize, everybody we're playing is already deep into their off-season prep for the coming season. So, we got to, we'll rest up, but, we're a little bit behind now. So we, we take this week, we're chilling out, and but, it'll be back to work soon, and we can't rest on it. Because everybody starts back at zero, so we got to rebuild from scratch now.
Well, we'll be following you on 107.1 The Drive come August. And Coach Mallory, again, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to having you on again next season.
Congratulations to Coach Mallory, the Division IV Coach of the Year.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. We'll be back next week, same time, same station, with some more local chat, sponsored by Independent Bank.